Good afternoon from Hamburg, Germany. My name is Ilan Alon, and I'm a professor of international business and a fellow at Harvard University. Today we have a distinguished guest, Dr. Andreas Heinecke, who is the founder of DSC, Dialogue in Social Enterprises, and DID, Dialogue in the Dark.
Imagine a life with no light, nothing but darkness. You could hear this report, but you would never be able to see it, or to know what I look like, or even what your television looks like. That is the reality of millions of people around the world living life blind or visually impaired. It is a reality that most of us will never live, but it is something we can experience through an exhibition called Dialogue in the Dark. It's an exercise in being blind, living for only 1 short hour what those who can't see live with every single day.
How did you start thinking about franchising? When did you, and why did you start thinking about franchising?
Yeah, well, we have been in, I think, in 1990 in Frankfurt in an art center. And there were different performances, and we were one of the, let's say, of the programs. And then there was a dancer from Paris, and she, in fact, conveyed the news to another producer that somebody in Germany is doing something really strange with darkness and blind and so on and so on. And then the guy called me and said, "Listen, I'm running an arts festival in Paris. Would you like to come?" But of course, Paris is all time worthy, I think, to travel. Why not to go to Paris and to Dialogue in the Dark there? But he said, "Listen, I think I had no idea how to do it." And I said, "Yes, we have a theater and we have people. Of course, we need French-speaking people." So I said, "Yeah, okay, but we can come and we can share our learnings." So that's it. So we came to Paris and we said, "Listen, you have to darken here, you have to make it here, and this set can be here." And of course, we can give some advice to the blind guys how to be a tour guide. And little by little, in fact, I think something was developed which was meant to be franchise. But for me, when the first time somebody told me about franchise, I thought about French fries because I have no skills. I'm not an economist. I never studied management. I'm a philosopher by education, and whatever it means. And that means that little by little we learned, and then of course other people from Canada came or from Italy came, and little by little we understood, well, we have to prepare somehow a document, we have to, let's say, we have to open up our learnings, we have to define certain standards, and little by little I think it grew. But I think the core was all the time that we were very, very picky when the label comes up. So the brand was very important. That means we were absolutely, there was no discussion about that we can do it, I don't know what, walking in the dark or singing in the dark or whatever. So it was all the time Dialogue in the Dark, and we understood we have to translate very quickly. So it was in France, it became then Dialogue Nacional, in Spain it became Dialogue en la Oscuridad, and so on and so on. So we all the time translate very quickly the name and the brand, and the charm is that it works in every language. So all the time the two keywords, dialogue and dark. And then, little by little, I think we developed certain expertise, and then we trained people who were able to convey what it's about, and so little by little, I think it grew, and now, in fact, we have some standards in place, and now we can disseminate.
So, if I understand you correctly, the going international is what has led you to start thinking about franchising, replication.
Yes, of course.
And standardization.
Yes.
How do you ensure? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about how many countries you're in and what you do. But my question is, how do you ensure that the same standards are followed? That there is indeed a replication of what you're doing here in Hamburg, elsewhere?
Well, a big debate. Because I think even the concept sounds so easy, dark and blind, and that's it. There are a lot of different understandings. And let's talk about the wages, for instance. We said, okay, everybody who is working for us need to be paid. This was one of our, let's say, our rules. So now, for instance, I flew to Brazil, Sao Paulo, And we had a dinner with our investors, and we were in a Japanese restaurant, sitting on a hotel, 28th floor, Japanese food, nice ambience. And I asked him, how much did you pay? $200. Okay, well, this is the same what we would pay in Hamburg for people to have a dinner like this. Okay, next day we had a discussion, and we were discussing how much we're gonna pay now for the blind people, the tour guides, and they work 6 days the week in Brazil, and they have at least 10 hours working hours, so long days. And I said, okay, $200. What, $200? Yesterday we went to the Japanese restaurant and we paid €200, and now you want to offer you're kidding, for a 24 days job on a monthly basis with all this hard job to do, $200? And yes, this is how to say, this is a common standard. So we had to understand and we had to respect it. There was no way. And I asked a lot of people, because they have family support systems, they have completely different ways, I think, to live, and $200, I think, is in Brazil in these days was quite fair. But of course, for us as a European guy, having no understanding how you can live with €200 or $200 was quite challenging. So there's all the time, let's say, somehow a conflict. So what is, how to say, what we need to accept out of the local, let's say, conditions on site. And it's of course culture, it's about payment, it's about, again, how do people handle stuff. You know, I think for us it's unbearable when I see that 20 people sitting in a booth of I don't know what, 10 square meters. In China it might be completely usual. So that means I every time need to learn and have to respect, I think, the local conditions. And of course, it's given that, of course, the concept is untouchable. I think it's not semi-dark, or it's not, how to say, or not blindfolded. I think the rooms have to be very pitch dark, and of course, the only people we employ within the mediation have to be visually impaired or blind people. But again, I think it's not only about the setting and the employees, the employees, the working force. It is much more maybe the surrounding, how we can guarantee it. It starts with the communication. So what do I emphasize? It's an exhibition about the blind. It's an exhibition about to learn to see. It's an exhibition to discover the unseen. It's an exhibition about I don't know what, you know, about the senses. There are so many ways to see. And then, of course, the matter is, of course, then the pricing. When we are in New York City, the guys charge a hell of money. So this is too much expensive, too expensive. Yeah, but the New York City, blah, blah, blah. If you go to a musical, you have to pay the double. So there's all the time a lot of, let's say, argumentations. And security is, of course, an issue. For me, it's safe when it's like this. In New York City, of course, it's completely impossible, I think, to set our standards, because they would be seen as completely underperforming. So we have, of course, much higher standards. When I'm going to Albania, of course, I say, okay, well, you can do whatever you want. So it means a completely a huge variety of different, let's say, conditions. And we have to learn, I think, to respect cultural differences on one side, to be open, to respect ownership is very important, that all these guys are not doing it for money, they're doing it for social missions, social purpose. That means we have to believe them that they don't have a hidden agenda. And of course, then we have to, how to say, be very empathetic in order to convey our standards. But we cannot now assume that when you're going to another country, when you're going to Africa or South America or whatever, and you come with a German square head and say, this has to be like this, that it's working. It has to be all the time a very flexible system that we need to understand what are the common senses. What do we need to respect out of the cultural, let's say gap or difference, however. And what is, how to say, non-negotiable, which, how to say, absolutely, which is there's no way to do it.